call this hearing to order. This hearing is in regards to the continuation of the property at 2355 48th Street Northeast. I think, let's start. Chuck, have you been over there?
Yeah, myself and the zoning inspector have been up there. I think they gave you pictures, updated pictures. I think they're from Thursday or Friday. So, not a whole lot of progress since our last meeting, or last hearing. And you concur with that, Tom? About the same position, yeah, so no changes there.
Looks like the same.
Okay, so we have the representative of that property.
Yes.
Is there anything that you would like to add to that?
Just that we've intended to work on it and have not to this point, so it is still our intention to rebuild the front half of it.
And you honestly think that there's a chance that you can even rehab that in some way, based on what we're looking at as far as the pictures go?
Mm-hmm.
Without deconstructing it, to potentially use material, using that off based on is having spent 4.5 years in the construction industry, plus what we dealt with on the south side of 62 with those two houses.
My husband built a house. He was in home renovations for several years, so he has built an entire house, so I feel confident that he has the skill set to rebuild it.
Well, I can tell you this for the record, I'm not happy that there's no progress made on it. I'm not gonna mince words. I mean, intention versus actual action.
My
To me, it shows
attorney should be here in a moment.
That's more than fine.
It doesn't set a good precedence. We work with people, we work hand in hand, but there hasn't been anything been done. And, you know, what's the next person gonna say? Well, you gave her all that time, and then we need things done. And we had a gentleman here that we worked with, and he was just him and his daughter, him by himself.
Actually, within a 4.5 month period.
We got it done.
Had a
I mean,
complete
all you gotta do is
house.
show us something. This is difficult for me also, because you didn't do anything. And so it's like, it's hard because it sets a precedence to other people that if we come to the same situation, that we give them all this time. And they think, well, I can just sit on it for months and not doing it because they gave her time, they'll give me time. But it makes it difficult. It's really, this is a tough one now because you didn't, it just showed us one little thing, not even easy, but this is difficult. I hate to say it, very difficult.
You say your husband is on his way, or?
He is not my attorney.
Oh, okay.
Just makes it tough, man, I don't know.
I mean, we've already had, what, 2 prior hearings
Yeah,
on this
that
with
started
extensions.
early on, so.
May I ask if someone in the neighborhood complained, or if you've just deemed it,
It's not a relevant point.
okay, that's fine. I mean, it's not the safety hazard that it was, but what's still there is stable, it's not going to fall in, there's still stuff.
Looking at the roof line, I can tell you, working in the disaster restoration reconstruction industry, that's far from being stable. I mean, outside of the fact of what the code says,
Officially, we don't do anything with this resolution till our regular meeting, so.
Eric, any questions you get?
That's what I was
Explore for the sake of conversation.
Well, it's kind of tough without your,
That's-
with
you, if that were your attorney.
Yeah.
I'd kind of like to know what he has to say, but.
Yeah, I would like, myself too, I would like for him to at least get here to see
Who's
what.
representing you?
Julie Bickus, she was stuck in traffic, so.
Okay.
There she is.
Oh, there she is.
So we actually just started picking up on the hearing, so we have waited a couple minutes for you as her representation. Is there anything that you would like to address the board with, to ask? Any questions that you might have?
Thank you, I apologize for being late, I wrote down the time wrong. My name is Julie Bickus, I'm an attorney here, and I represent the Allisons in connection with this matter. I do have to apologize, I was just retained this afternoon, I am not unfortunately yet up to speed. So I was going to see if we could get any sort of continuance or just to allow me some time to get up to speed on the matter. I genuinely have very little background on what has happened to date and what needs to happen going forward. So if the board would consider that, I would genuinely appreciate it.
Well, I'm gonna, again, for the sake of the record, with all due respect, Ms. Bickus, your clients had plenty of time to have retained somebody. This is actually our third meeting on a building that is definitely, and I'll be more than happy to provide you with copies of photos here. It's not structurally
Thank you.
sound, contrary to your client's comments. And the first meeting we had, in short, we had discussed was a combination of fire and zoning structural concerns. Based upon board precedents where we've worked with folks who have shown progress in the past, we'd said, hey, we will do a continuance. We didn't go write it saying, no, we're gonna abate this, we're gonna come in and resolve it. We actually set a continuance, do we recall if it was, I don't know if it was six, I want to say it was probably 6 weeks, potentially 8 weeks, which is 3 to 4 board meetings. Come in, showed a little bit of progress. Based upon that, we said, okay, there's a good faith effort here to attempt to work towards this. Clearly wasn't the amount of progress we were hoping to see, and that's predicated on some other experiences within the township, whether it's outbuildings or the last two being actual full-blown homes. To walk in today, just prior to your arrival, being told my intention and action are two different things that I'm sure you'll agree. And honestly, I'll leave it at that for backdrop before I get into any other questions or comments. And so you guys may want to frame anything else from Ms. Bickus here.
No, I think that pretty much says it all. On the first contact with the first hearing, she actually made a request that she couldn't be here, so we said, okay, we'll extend that hearing. Then, on the second one, she told us, and if I'm saying anything wrong, please interject, because
We've got a video recorded.
yeah.
Anyway.
That, her husband was out of town, so it was going to be difficult to do anything until he got back. So we extended again. There was a dumpster that some cleanup had been started. So then there was another request that they could get started to at least see some progress. But since that time till now, we haven't seen any progress at all. There's been nothing.
We've actually
that
driven by
progress standard.
fire, zoning. I've actually been by the area a couple weeks ago as well.
Just to address those concerns, I really genuinely apologize. I am very late to this party, and I genuinely apologize for that, and I'm not trying to waste anybody's time. I did speak with the Allisons this afternoon, and my understanding is that since they rented the dumpster, there has been some progress. It might not be readily apparent from what you've seen, but they have done a lot of work in cleaning out and, you know, doing the necessary demolition to move on to the next step of the progress. And they have requests out for quotes for some contractors to come out and complete the work. They are, you know, doing everything that they can to move this project along as quickly as possible. And they do understand, you know, the timetable is not what you'd like it to be. They do have a plan for going forward. I don't exactly have the details of that plan. I know that they've bid it out to a couple of contractors, and they're waiting on some responses from that. So that next step is in progress, and we would like to see if we can get some additional time just to wrap up that process and get on our end that moving forward.
Any questions that you can think of that we are?
When you say that process, you talking about a bidding process, or are you talking about this being done process?
Both. You know,
When do you foresee it being completed?
I don't know, because I haven't personally spoken with the contractors that they've had contact with.
Does your client know?
So do we have names of the contractors that we've reached out to for quotes?
I do, no one has called me back.
So who are those names?
I mean, do you have any recommendations for contractors? Because I've not had any luck. I tried.
Ma'am, I'm asking, I'm not gonna answer any questions until
That's
my
fine.
question's been answered, please. Clearly, if you've made that effort, you should at least have a name.
RMN Construction and Finney Construction, neither of which has called me back.
When were those calls placed?
Sunday,
Just this past Sunday?
yes, because the plan was to buy materials and work on it this Sunday, and it didn't happen, and so I reached out to contractors again.
So has your husband done any, you had told us earlier that once he got back, he was gonna be able to start to work on that. Has he actually done anything in
He
this
has not.
process?
Let's see if they saw pictures of it.
Yeah. No, she said he hasn't. She just said that, so.
With all due respect, I have a hard time providing any additional extension, given our willingness to provide those extensions up to point, and quite frankly, this comes across as a fire drill at the nth hour to me, so.
How dangerous is this building right now?
I don't know if I don't think it's gonna fall in tomorrow. I mean, there's obviously equipment in there and tractors and some lawn equipment and that kind of stuff. I mean, but to fix it, I think you would actually have to almost tear it down.
That's what I was wondering, when
I
did I
mean,
go?
you know, I mean,
Isn't it
you would have
better
to
torn
you
down
stage
to
the
restore?
materials. So a contractor or the husband or whatever, I think they'd have to almost maybe tear it down to the posts if they could salvage those and
Wouldn't it-
rebuild it back
Yeah, I was
up.
gonna say, wouldn't it be cheaper to just to restore it, to tear it down and then it's costing money to tear it down and then to restore? Sometimes it's easier to build new than to try to restore old. I mean, you guys give it some serious thought, might be cheaper if you guys just, that thing looks like there's not a piece of wood to even save there. Wouldn't it be easier just tear it down? You've got the site, it's already yours, and then just rebuild it. You might be spending a ton, it looks like you might spend a ton of money.
The concrete looks salvageable, it's in there, and
Everything's
then
there.
maybe a couple center
The
posts.
footer's there, but
It's gonna take some work.
by the time you get a construction guy, and you might be spending a ton to restore a building, instead of just letting it be tore down and then rebuilt.
How I can tell you with certainty, having spent 4.5 years with a construction firm, any contractor come in and at best may get it down to a couple posts. But I mean, as you still see that roof line,
Yeah, they're not.
that's
gonna use
that's
it.
all gonna have to be removed.
They're not.
And then
gonna use
looking at the wood on the ends and the side, by the time you say sand that down in order to put finish, because, I mean, you could spray or stain something or try on that, it's not gonna adhere, given the wood's condition. I mean, none of the shingle, I mean, that's not, doesn't appear to be.
Salvageable, oh, might be cheaper for them to have it torn out. Foundation's there, the footer's there.
We under any legal obligation
To do.
her connection with her attorney. As far as her getting an opportunity to come up to speed on the process.
There's no legal obligation because the notice has been,
All right.
it's been months at this point, so.
Would you give me through December 1st to tear it down?
Well, the answer to that
Does it cost
would be
you?
yes, because even if we move forward legally, there's gonna be more time than that, because we have to give a certain amount of time for that to happen anyhow, so, If-
And then by the time you get to
so,
You'll save money there.
absolutely we could, because you'll actually save money, because, you know, in your particular case, you're gonna be able to get a bunch of quotes and figure out which one is gonna do it the cheapest. If we have to move forward legally, we will select the person who's gonna do it, and obviously those are gonna be charged back to a tax lien. So,
I do not want that.
It's better
and
off.
so,
Might I suggest, if you're serious about having it done by December 1st, might I suggest you start the process tonight by voting yes to have it demolished? We have an understanding, obviously, that if it's down December 1st, we're not gonna do that, but we need to start our process so that we have those notices out, so that we have the contractor picked, and so that we have, but if it's done by December 1st, we're not coming out there, obviously.
Okay.
That would that, I'm sorry, I probably should talk to
Can I
your
have a
attorney.
minute, please?
You absolutely
absolutely.
can, yeah.
Can they go somewhere else?
Oh.
Places they
You guys can go in another room.
Yeah, you guys can go in another room if you want.
Would you
Yeah.
mind?
Not at all.
Not at all.
I'm with me, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, take him to the conference room.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I
Sure.
appreciate that opportunity. We do have a plan for going forward with demolishing on our own. Just timeframe wise, because of the holidays coming up and the weather, in order to get the contractor out and dumpster and everything taken care of, if we could have until mid-December, let's see, the 15th or 16th, I'm sorry, would be a Monday, roughly 30 days from now. Would that be acceptable?
Here's what I think we're
Fair.
proposing, and just so we're on the same page. We're gonna start our process, and they're gonna vote on the decision to go forward with the demolition. But they are well within their discretion, this is not my decision to make, but theirs, to say that they will not have anybody out there demolishing if you give us a date or you agree on a date. You can put that in abeyance, even though the process has started, maybe even we get a quote, or however far you want to get in that process. But if it's done by the date you agree on, we obviously won't execute on it. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, so then it would be up to you guys on working out what kind of time frame you want.
Honestly, based upon
I'm okay with that.
I mean, the whole timetables from even by the time we would take
Sure.
action at the next meeting, and by the time you have to go out and solicit
Yeah.
bids, I mean.
I would agree with you. I think if we just move forward tonight, and then we maintain contact.
Yep.
To see where this is, you know, for example, if they have a contractor, for example, and they have a contract, and, you know, the contractor says, hey, I can't be there till a certain date, we're certainly gonna accept the fact that we know progress has been made, and we have up until that date now that we know something is gonna happen. We're okay with that.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that I'm understanding, you're going to take a vote on whether to approve the abatement.
Correct.
And you're, tonight,
Tonight there.
while we're here.
Correct.
But that the board understands or agrees to basically hold that decision in abeyance pending the homeowner's attempts to rectify this themselves within a reasonable amount of time.
December.
And, you know, showing some progress that will keep touch from here on out.
Reasonable progress in my mind, this is just me speaking as one, that building's down by December 15th, or we've got written contract documentation that there's a contractor that's been retained, has provided some proposed date. That way it becomes a matter of public record whenever we have that meeting.
That's acceptable.
Makes sense? Okay, that's what we'll do then. That won't be right now, we won't do that vote, but that vote will be
Yeah, that vote will be
our
done
regular meeting.
during our
Which
regular.
you're more than welcome to stick around and watch, but you don't have to.
Yeah,
Let me
it's-
ask you
it
crazy.
is
Are
not
you gonna-
necessary for that vote, I'm sorry,
No.
that you be here because we're gonna make contact with you anyhow, or Mrs. Allison.
And I think that's a reasonable, are you gonna have someone do it?
I'm gonna tear it down.
Oh, you will? Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because, God forbid, if we get a blizzard for the next 3 weeks, contractor would tell you, I can't show up, then you're stuck, but if you're doing it yourself, then okay. I hope the weather's good for you, it's supposed to be in the 50s next week, so I hope.
That was my worry, I wanted to
I hope
provide
that
enough
helps you out.
time to do it ourselves, and if we are unable to do it ourselves, to bring somebody in.
Is there, do we have, is a potential means, whether Ms. Allison wants it or not, is there anything even through school, through the building trades, if somebody was to help on a deconstruction, just from a, whether it's community service out, I'm not trying to create significant, but I'm just looking at it from a manpower.
Or anything that fire could do? Is there any trim you can help maybe take it down, or, I don't know if there's,
I'm just figuring
Yeah.
construction, because even with, there's a downtown Canton project rebuild, sometimes, I mean, they're doing rehabs, they're doing new builds, they've done some demo stuff, and I just know that from tools and stuff that I've donated down there in
and
years
we work
past.
with Project Rebuild, so I can,
Just-
Rob and I,
it is-
Rob has the contact there, we can reach out, I mean, we want to, if there's anything we can help.
Yeah, we always prefer if the owner does it versus us getting involved, always,
Yeah.
so.
Anything else? Any other questions of us? Mrs. Allison, do you have any other questions of us? Okay, that will complete the hearing for the continuation of the property at 2355 48th Street Northeast. And we will make our official decision during our regular meeting. You're welcome to stay if you want, it's just simply going to be a matter of a vote. And then from there, the normal moving forward process takes place from there. So you're welcome to stay if you want, but you don't have to, it's entirely up to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, thank you.
Anything else? That closes the continuation here. Okay? Yes, please.
Yeah.
Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to all. We have the agenda before us. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Just one other concern, trustees, Stark County Township Association.
I have one as well, sir.
Let me get this one. CTA, trustee Haas. Okay, Rob,
Alpine Park, Parks Board.
number 4. Okay, then the agenda will stand as edited. So the first thing that we have on the agenda is unfinished business. And
Is that the first one? That's the first.
they're not listed.
Yeah, but we took.
No, they're not even on.
Oh, okay. So while the sheriff is here, is there anybody in the audience that has any concerns, questions, or anything else regarding the sheriff? Anything? Okay, seeing none, now we'll move on to unfinished business. Unfinished business, at 5:20, we had a hearing for the continuation of this property. So I will move, whereas the Board of Trustees of Plain Township has identified the real property located at 2355 48th Street Northeast, parcel number 5202779 as dilapidated, unsafe, unsecure, and structurally defective. Whereas the Plain Township Property Maintenance Code official, the Plain Township Fire Department has conducted an on-site inspection on 10/30/2019 of the property located at 2355 48th Street Northeast, parcel number 52-02779. It has been determined that the building located on the said property is dilapidated, unsafe, unsecure, structurally defective. Now, therefore, be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, will move forward with the continuation of the demolition process to be set forth on 11/12/2019 of the said real property located at 2355 48th Street Northeast, parcel number 52-02779 per Ohio Revised Code 505.86.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
I think for the sake of the record, the homeowner did have counsel available, and just per discussion, we had agreed to, we noted that we were going to take action here, but that the individual's going to have until December 15th,
16th,
or
Monday.
December 16th, Monday, to have action. Action meaning either they have the structure down in its entirety by themselves, as they have indicated, or they have to produce a legal contract that will be entered as part of our meeting minutes of a contractor that they're working with. And this is all predicated on, we've already offered a number of continuances on this.
3 at counting
Yeah,
this.
and based upon the last situation where zero progress is visibly denoted, that's where, in verbal context, we left the expectations with the homeowner. But as well, given what appears to be going to be their efforts to do it themselves, we did extend the branch and say, hey, can we connect them with the building trades over to the high school, or potential project rebuild for the sake of labor and so forth.
Yes, so. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Okay, nothing under new business. That takes us to the fiscal officer's report. Mr. Wolf?
Thank you. Fiscal Officer number 1 is a request for resolution to authorize payment of pending warrants in an amount of $263,724.67.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a request for resolution to authorize payment of regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $250,000.
I will move on. Fiscal officer number 2.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a request for resolution to authorize payment of the following medical claims.
So move on to fiscal officer number 3.
I will second. It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the financial report for the month of October. questions, I'll be available after the meeting. Fiscal officer number 5 is a request for resolution to authorize the following transfers.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Fiscal officer number 6 is a request for resolution to request an additional amended certificate of estimated resources from the Stark County Auditor for $1,120,500 and to appropriate these funds as follows.
So
Who
moved.
seconded it?
It's been moved and seconded, discussion,
I think really just for a quick clarification purpose, educational opportunity. This isn't that, hey, we've overspent and we're going and asking somebody for money. This is, we've got a conservative budget based upon the tax collections within the township, property valuations and all of that, where they're at. Resources are there. So thus, there's something that's been voted on, approved. We're just requesting essentially a phase of payment.
Correct, yeah, we're requesting it and put it aside for capital projects.
Yep. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
And that concludes the fiscal officer report.
Thanks, Don. That takes us to the administrator, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 1 is a resolution to authorize the trustees, fiscal officer, administrator, and department heads to attend the 2020 Ohio Township Association Winter Conference from February 3rd to February 8th, and to authorize the $65 pre-registration fee and lodging and reimbursement, including mileage and food, parking, will all be done according to the travel policy.
So moved.
Seconded?
It's been moved and seconded, discussion,
As I've said from day one, every year that I'm here, the department head knows there's another conference or something that's a better value, and you're not seeing the classes that are justifying good takeaway for our residents. I'd ask that you bring those before us, because I'll be more than happy to support that versus just sending somebody to send it. But we have been pretty good, especially the last couple of years, how we tackle and divide, we're not duplicating
Yeah.
classes and so
Yeah,
forth.
so for instance, if there's a department head, because Safety Congress is so good, that gets more out of that, I highly encourage them to look at maybe attending that one. So just when the coursework comes out, take a look and see if there's some new strong classes for this meeting.
anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Item number 2 is a resolution to authorize payment to Earthenwood for hauling yard waste in an amount not to exceed $10,075 to be paid from Fund 01A26Y.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded, discussion,
Yard waste closes at the end of the month.
It does, we've had phone calls that people want to keep it open. There's always a winter shutdown, and there, for safety too, given the weather, there needs to be a winter shutdown. When it's snowing, you're not rigging leaves, so.
I think the most common question moving forward is how and when can we get our pass card? So.
Eric and I
again,
have been
just need to
working on
have
that. We have all the information, the website that you get the cards through has all of the information. Gordon East has the article I wrote that will be going on the webpage. I imagine it'll be pretty quickly that people can register. However, even when you register, when they come into the hall to pick up their card, part of the process is seeing your license and double checking that you are indeed a township resident. GIS helped put together, the map, but mistakes happen, and people have to understand they may be in the Plain local school district, but not Plain Township. So this is Plain Township resident only.
It's food. Yeah, it's purely residential. If you're a resident that owns a landscaping business and you're not
Correct.
dropping your landscaping business clippings and stuff here.
Correct.
anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. Administrator number 3 is a resolution to authorize payment to Baker Duplicar for professional services in the amount not to exceed $3,201 to be paid from Fund 01A-10.
I will move on. Administrator number 3.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hawes.
It's
Been moved and seconded, discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item is a resolution to adopt the Plain Township Employee Review per the attached Plain Township Employee Review form.
I will so move.
Second. It's been moved and seconded, discussion?
I think the
Yes.
important piece, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, this came out of the classes that we all attended. We knew that the employee review form needed update. From the class, I got specific recommendations that I have implemented. We have passed this through our staff meeting twice and made some adjustments and feel that we have a good employee review in place.
Yeah, this was a collaborative effort.
It really
So
was.
it wasn't as if we just decided to go with one model, get
No.
input from department
And I
heads.
can take the big notes off my door finally.
Yeah. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. My last resolution is to authorize approved payment for two 2020 Explorer Interceptor Sheriff Cruisers from Wacom Auto Family at the cost of $35,887 each, plus the 45-day tags from Fund 21A02M.
I will so move.
Second. It's been moved and seconded, discussion?
This is actually coming from the capital fund that was set aside in the budget specifically to purchase vehicles. We have two that are going into service that are replacing very high mileage at 137,000, 146,000. As you know, one of our cruisers was in a terrible accident, not their fault. There's no coming back from that vehicle, so we'll be adding in a vehicle there, and then the other will be replacing one either with 130,000 miles or potentially the Dodge Charger, which has lower miles but is not operating very well. So we have gotten on a good replacement schedule. We're to the point where we're not rotating cars like we were, but to stay in that good position each year, we'll have to purchase potentially a vehicle or two. And again, it's from the capital fund.
So we have one Charger left after this one.
After this, and that one is not doing so well,
Yeah.
so.
Else, you got anything you want to add?
Chrysler's attempt at competing with
Yeah, I think with,
abusive.
I think with the couple we're building, and these two would be able to probably move the last two Chargers into a spare vehicle position. The two Crown Victorias replacing, they've been well-maintained vehicles. They're 2008s, over 100,000 miles on them. It's just kind of, it's unheard of for most police departments to have a cruiser that are that old, but it just speaks to how well the guys take care of them and how well they're maintained. They're getting to the point where they're rusting apart. It's hard to get parts for them. I mean, unfortunately, the one was destroyed in that accident. So
Which we will, you sent me the email today, we'll be scrapping that.
Okay.
And just as a quick question, I know it digresses off, but is our officer doing?
He's gonna be off for some time. He's recovering, but he won't be back to work anytime soon.
Yeah.
We anticipate he'll be back sometime after the first of the year, hopefully.
That was a
He's
miracle
doing
right
okay.
there.
Yeah. And that was still, would have been a serviceable vehicle, but, you know, it's a 2008 vehicle, and it was up there. This will put us in a position where we have all these newer interceptors on the road and all updated vehicles and regular daily service.
Well, just the reality is the space on these Ford Interceptors is, I mean, Charger, no offense, it may look like a tough police car, but those things are miserable. I mean, without even having the gear on that you guys have to get in, get out, let alone if you have a ride along. No thanks.
Yeah, that was Chrysler's futile attempt to make
Yeah.
a police cruiser. Not very successful. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you, and that's the end of the.
Thanks, Lisa. That takes us to the Fire Department Chief Schallenberger.
Thank you. Item number one, I have a resolution for a fire renewal levy for the years of 2020, 21, 22, 23, and 24 to be placed on the ballot.
I I will so move.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion.
I think it's important to point out, it's not a new tax, and it's a renewal, it's not a replacement, which a replacement would look at the new property valuations at the same millage. So essentially, what the taxpayer is gonna see is a reduced effective millage for the dollar amount that it's gonna generate.
Correct.
So,
That is correct, and the ballot will be in March 17th of 2012,
Because of the
early election.
presidential primary. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 2 is a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees to authorize reimbursement to Howard Hirschberger in the amount of $383.40 for healthcare membership, according to provision 37 of the collective bargaining agreement.
I'll move on FD number 2.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 3 is a resolution to authorize purchase and payment of one Stryker power cot from Stryker EMS, the amount not to exceed $24,000 and 28 cents to be taken from Fund 28805.
Also move.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion.
I think it's important that somebody thinks the word pot, they're like, how much?
Yeah.
What this has done for our BWC premiums because of reduced employee back injuries and so forth is significant. So these things really do pay for themselves through reduced injuries, more uptime.
And being in charge of those BWC claims, they are significantly reduced. Back lifting, I don't know the last time I've seen one since we've implemented these cots.
Yeah, they do help a lot with that, and the ergonomics, the way they're lifting, and the cart that they come out.
Agreed. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 4 is a resolution to authorize purchase and payment for one 2020 Ford 350 4x4 from Wacom Auto Family Group, not to exceed $36,228.50, to be taken from Fund 10A08.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion.
Wacom is still coming in under state bid.
Yeah, with their attached quote there, they're actually cheaper than state bid, same with the cruisers, and they've treated us very well with the pricing, so.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 5 is a resolution to authorize purchase and payment for one Colossal Super Plow from Terry's Truck and Trailer, not to exceed the attached code of $5,586.
So moved.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion.
And that plow is going to go on that truck and be used for central station and to be able to fill in when times when other departments can't help us out.
All right. Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 6 is a resolution for zone comfort heating and cooling to replace the heating and air conditioning at 2625 25th Street, Station 3. This would be the upstairs units per attached quote out of 21A02K. That's our capital account.
I'll move on FD number 6.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, discussion.
Is that where we're still housing our
Yes.
partnership? All right.
Yeah, and that unit, both furnace and air, is over 30 years old, so
Wow.
That's pretty good.
we're hoping to save some electricity at the same time and be a little more efficient there, so.
Probably won't get 30 years out of it.
Yeah.
No.
And then we had somebody work on it to Lennox, and we're having some trouble getting some parts for the furnace part of it, so.
So they've been
Yeah.
for 30 years.
30 years.
Surprised they even want to fix it.
Right.
Wow.
Anything else?
That's crazy.
Roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Item number 7 is a resolution to authorize reimbursement to Ben Hirschberger for the amount of $255.60 for healthcare membership according to provision 37 of the collective bargaining agreement.
I'll move on FD number 7.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Okay, item number 8, and all these resolutions are rather lengthy, so these are a resolution to transfer money to capital accounts for 21-0A,
This is the first one, right?
for,
Fire number 8.
yeah, okay, that would be the transfer for some tools and equipment. And she does have a lot of work here, hang on a second.
Ours all say the same thing.
The attachments out of order.
Yeah.
And that's why we're not broadcasting tonight, because she was working on it till the last minute, usually we do, but.
Okay, so,
We can, we'll start over here. Okay, this is a resolution for the fire district fund to, for projects not to exceed $260,000 for fire and land building acquisition.
so moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Same thing.
It is.
Yeah.
And then item number 9 is a resolution to establish a capital fund for a fire ladder truck 21-N.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Next one is a resolution to establish the transfer of funds for a fire pumper into an existing capital account, 10A17.
So moved.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
And last on the list is another resolution to transfer money into a capital account of $50,000 for building repairs, capital projects.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And that concludes fire department.
Next, Shelka takes us to road, Mr. Iacino.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is a resolution to authorize the purchase of tires and supplies from Goodyear Tire Commercial Tire in the amount of $4,245.76.
I'll move on road 1.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Item number 2 is a resolution to contract with Bachtel Excavating for the next phase of the Linford Storm Project. Of course, we will be working with them not to exceed $49,925.
I will so move.
Second it.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion,
I think it's important to note the board for a long time has worked rigorously with the county, pursuing grants, the whole 9 yards, and this project's never, in relationship to other projects, it just never quite scored enough points, but Gary Connors, before he departed, was able to help us get the ball rolling through some county money, but based upon the Stark County prosecutor's opinion to the commissioners, which essentially says, hey, you can't be using public funds for off-road drainage now. This is our effort through a little bit at a time, and we're able to do it a little bit at a time because of the fact of some of the gas tax dollars that the state passed through the most recent budget. You're essentially able to swap around some dollars. Is that a good
This is
analogy,
coming
Joe?
from the gas tax that we receive, that we are receiving right now for this year. So as long as we get this portion done in 2019, with next year's gas tax, hopefully we get another phase done for sure. This will get us up to 47th Street,
And the nice part is, we got the furthest downstream done first, which was the
Right,
hardest.
into the creek.
So everything now, we keep moving upstream, everything's just gonna plug into itself.
And
So,
which
I mean,
what we've done so far
Yeah.
is
Oh, it's always been
totally
terrible.
helped their
Most people have
neighborhood.
been busy for years.
How many times have we walked
Oh,
the streets after
terrible.
hard rains and knee, no
I
exaggeration,
know,
knee,
28 years,
knee
sea
deep.
flooding down there. so
So how's that drywall doing there, good? Both
This
sides?
is all gonna end up connecting into that.
Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect.
Anything else? Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Item number 3, I would just like to thank the residents for passage of our renewal of our road levy. This helps us to continue forward on the path that we're looking for with more paving and keeping our roads in best shape in the winter time also. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Little tip of the hat to our guys too, because
Yes.
again, you know,
It's because of that.
we talk about, you know, the residents recognize the service, they're gonna keep it up. The interesting thing about that is, you look at fire levy renewals, they're almost the most popular, highly voted tax levies. And our road levy renewal was right up there with the percentages that those fire levies were.
2 to 1.
70%.
Yeah.
Yes.
70%.
Yeah, about 2.25 to 2.5 to 1.
So I think, you know, as we've always talked about, the reflection of the service that you offer is what you're gonna get back.
Correct. I agree.
So true.
Next,
Okay, the last item is a resolution to purchase materials from pipelines not to exceed $16,954.08. It's various types of pipelines.
Also move.
second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. That takes us to zoning, Mr. Ferrara.
Thank you, sir. The first item on the agenda is a resolution to proclaim items A and B as nuisance abatements.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And item number 2 is a resolution to proclaim item A as a nuisance payment.
So moved.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
And that's all for zoning, sir.
Thanks, Tom. That takes us to parks.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 1 is a resolution to authorize payment to Miller and Company for reported ground rental during the Bach World Cup tournament at Diamond Park in an amount not to exceed $22.15 from Fund 14A08A.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded, discussion, roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 2 is just a simple update. We have opened as of, let's say Tuesday, last night, all of our leagues. We are at a higher capacity than we've ever been at, and that includes when the dome collapsed in 2012. We are at 67 teams. I now have league programming 7 days a week, and we had a whole 3.5 hours of the week that we were able to open for practice, and those were bought in 30 seconds of going live. So I just want to give you an update. We have well over 200 kids in our individual rec program. That holds strong. I think when people talk about our building, we are at capacity outside of a 3-hour window Sunday mornings, which competes with church. So that would explain why we're,
We're gonna have a little maintenance on.
yeah, but we are just chock-a-block full of rentals and usage.
That's a good problem.
Yeah.
I won't complain. Yeah, no, we've got a solid product, a great service, and we're very consistent with the way we manage it. So it's turned out well for us.
Okay.
Item number 3 is simply a thank you. It's a thank you to our veterans for joining us yesterday at the Salute to Veterans event. It's a thank you to our team. I mean, every department in here helped with multiple manpower hours on a holiday. I did say, I don't usually comment on social media about work, but I did say yesterday that some days are just better than others when you go to work, and yesterday was one of those great days. So it's always humbling to hear a veteran thank you when you're trying to say thank you to them for all their service and all of their sacrifice and their families as well. but it's certainly a program that I think we would agree warms us to the heart as we help somebody else.
And wouldn't you say we had a record number of World War II veterans there?
That was amazing.
Years prior, we've had,
One,
we've had
Two.
Yeah, one year we had two.
yeah, that was amazing,
Pretty amazing, 92 years old.
yeah.
Yep, it was quite a remarkable day, and we were once again fortunate enough to have so many folks join us.
Yeah.
So thank you all, and thank you to our team. It obviously was never done by one person, but it's a blast to get to work with everybody and pull something off. That's that fun.
So obviously, we'll follow up, taking a look at a little post-incident analysis of this year and match it up with what we want to do next year.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And do you still have the speaker I gave you as a
I do.
potential? Okay.
I do. Excellent. I welcome all comers. I will not discriminate. So, with that, item number 4, and I'll read it and then I'll go into discussion after I'm well. Please be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to rename Alpine Community Park to Al Lino Community Park.
Whoa. No. No.
also move,
I'll second for the sake of
No.
discussion.
You know, my grandfather is he's gone now, but he was a World War II vet. He spent 42 years in the fire service following World War II. He was my hero. He taught me it's not what you take from the community, it's what you give back. Al Lino was a driving force behind these parks. He developed them. We went from 1 to 3. We are the standard bearer for Stark County in excellence because of the way we are told and held accountable to maintaining these parks. It has been his passion, it has been his drive, and in my opinion, a legacy is somebody who gives back. Al has given for 24 years. Al can now tell somebody he played in the fields growing up right behind that park. He took his son to that park. He can someday take his grandchildren to that park, and hopefully they can take their children to that park because of the work that Al Lino has done. So, that is my point.
You guys.
So, I guess the only thing that I can say is I feel bad because it wasn't my idea.
Come on, you guys don't have.
Because I think the idea is a great one. Nobody sitting at this table knows the history of the parks more than I do, because I think when that first started, I was the assistant fire chief then when the Alpine Park was actually first purchased by the board with a grant, that they saw it as an opportunity. And I'm not being critical of that board, but I do know the history. And the history is they bought that land as an opportunity to get land. They weren't really focusing on park. Okay, and it sat for a while without anything being done, and there was liability and jeopardy there that they could lose that land if they didn't do something with it. So they started that process. And you can imagine in a neighborhood with parks, you know, the citizens didn't know what to expect. So to get something like that started, I don't think a lot of people realize the agony that the board went through to get something like that started. And of course, now people coming and seeing what's going on. We have 3 parks, and you know, I jokingly, and it wasn't a joke, but I did say when we dedicated the Gold Star Memorial that Al Lino was kind of the godfather of our parks. And I just think, you know, we have focused. We have 3 parks now. We went from 1 to 3. They're all a little bit different in terms of how they provide for services. And I don't see anything more fitting that we could do with the one at Alpine, which was the original one, to do this for the amount of work and the amount of passion. I don't know of anybody that's had more passion about parks than what you have. So, and by the way, you don't get to vote on this, just so you know. So it doesn't matter anyway.
I'll vote in his place.
And we're not going to argue about it. I don't know how he's gonna vote, I know how I'm gonna vote. But, yeah, we just have to make sure that we use the right name, okay? So, but otherwise, this, you know, for me, you know, it's an honor. And I think, I think you deserve that recognition.
I think to help put it into context too, this isn't the first time we've named a facility or grounds in the township. Similar to how Chief Snipe, Don's dad, really took the vision of, hey, we got a bunch of, fire guys, please don't kill me if I use the term, you know, some volunteers, and, you know, he had to cobble together a bunch of volunteer stations to build one uniform, consistent team. And that took a lot of uphill battles. Well, I wish I could claim this idea as well, but it didn't come well. I know when I was the new trustee coming on board and so forth, some of the lessons learned was, again, as John said, that was a grassy field at first. Hey, we'll at least put a little walking track along there. And some of the prior boards didn't even want to do that. So the fact that through partnerships with Rotary and a number of the, you know, some of the union organizations, some of the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, the grant, you know, with the whole refurbishment of the grants, I mean, how you were the individual that was out there when we had to demo all the old equipment and spec it out. Here's what we want, and you know what? We all have our own niche. So will the new person. We all have our niche. Parks hand down is yours. There's no question, because honestly, we all can't be everything to everybody. That's why as a board you got to work as a team. And you know what? Maybe on one or two things I'd be like, man, that may be a little. Never once doubt any vision. And selfishly, and when you look at, you went from Alpine, Diamond was just a good business decision at the time, because you think, okay, you had the property on the north side of Diamond that as part of that board, you guys were gonna look to build that out. And through leadership was able to do a property swap to get your hands on Diamond, which is, you know, from a financial, you know, business, I mean, that drives a good share of revenue for the parks. But then, just even the background too, Schneider, what's now Veterans Park, but Schneider was definitely a very strategic reason to keep folks from trying to annex their way up into our schools and so forth. And I remember when I proposed the plan to rename Schneider Veterans, and I know, you know, when Lou was here, you know, he and I probably thought, okay, let's change the name, but we never did until we, you know, I come up with, hey, how about this? And you know what, you were the first person that said, actually, this makes sense. And then when I proposed the hillside, who was the first person making that motion, or the second? It was you. So I say all that because credit the ability to help see, believe, buy into vision. And the same thing is over there. So much of that park's been done through collaborative relationships, whether it's grants, how many scouting projects are done over there. And obviously that's fitting that within our parks, so many scouting projects have been done, given that you're an Eagle Scout as well. So it really is an honor to be able to do this. It's not something took lightly. I mean, you know how much time and effort we put in when we renamed Central Station. And, you know, selfishly, I wish we probably could have had a couple people here, but we didn't want to leak it out, because we knew you'd fight. We knew you'd fight, quite frankly. So, as we pointed out, you've got to abstain from this. So, I don't have anything further to comment myself. I mean, he's technically allowed to make comments, he just can't vote, right?
Right.
It's just,
It's okay.
it's overwhelming that you guys will consider that. I wish you didn't. This these parks, yeah, I love my parks, and I'm glad our residents have beautiful parks, but it's not me, it's us, it's our team, it's those who work on it, the scouts, and everyone that was involved in these parks. And you guys, we all have a passion for them, and they're beautiful because of our team, not me, please. I'm so honored, I don't, you know, if I deserve to have my name on that, because that's something so huge to do. But I can't thank you enough if that's what you guys want to do, but I wish you'd put on your team, because it's team. It's what we do together as a whole, not me. It might have been my vision and my goal, but it's what you guys do. And Rob, the way these Veterans Park looked absolutely gorgeous yesterday. I stared at that park and looked at that hillside. It was just beautiful. And I can't thank this team. You guys, Joe, all of you guys, the road, you guys have done a tremendous job to keep these parks so beautiful. But I'm just overwhelmed and honored that you guys would even consider that, and put something out. Just don't put my name, please.
I'll conclude the discussion with this.
Yeah.
I don't get up every morning worried about those parks, because I know what the standard is. We all know what that standard is coming in, because you've set that standard. And these gentlemen also support that standard, don't get me wrong, there's a board. But you're the driving force, you're the one we go to make proud, and we will continue to make you proud.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I've
Wow.
never
Wow.
been more positive than what I am right now that we're doing the right thing. So, having nothing else, roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
And with a final thank you to Alan and welcome to Ms. Harless. Thank you, Alan. That concludes parks.
Very exciting. Geez, I lost my place, man. Communications. Yeah, communications. Communications, Ms. Campbell.
We have several communications this evening. The first is a thank you to Rob for participating in SIP at Oakwood Middle School. The students were grateful for your willingness to share your perspective. Thank you for investing in middle schoolers by taking the time to talk and listen with them.
Joe, did you give him some tips? I mean, look at it.
Yeah, well, Rob had one, so now Joe's got.
Well, his wife works for the school
Now Joe.
district.
And Chuck always adds one.
It's mailbox season, Joe will get plenty.
So this one reads,
All right.
Joe Icino and road crew, thank you so much for the blacktop repair around our storm sewer. Your guys rock. And I can't read the last name, Joe, is that Harvin?
Harvin.
The Harvins. I actually have communication, just new hours at the Canton Recycle Center, Tuesdays 12 to 6, and Friday 9 to 3. Again, they do everything that our e-cycle event offers, so now people can go every day instead of not every day, Tuesdays and Fridays, to get rid of their electronics. So that's nice for us. And then Chief is number 4. Chief, your EMT officers were so helpful and kind. They made a scary situation much easier to handle. Thank you all very much. And that was from Joanne Perez. And now we're back to Rob. Rob, beautiful event today, so well organized and meaningful. These things always choke me up, and that is from Brian Keeper, who directs the Drifters.
They did an absolute
I've never
amazing
heard
job,
anything
too.
better.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And the last one is from Naomi Furby to Rob. And it reads, my husband, former Marine and brother, Air Force, always attend and did so this year also. And this year we brought our son-in-law, Navy. We love the program and it just gets better every year. Plus every year we like to choose a few names off the tree. We especially like to choose the names of elderly people. I think I heard someone say in the program today the names are veterans and their families. And I believe you respond, yes they were.
Yes,
I noticed there were quite a few less names this year. I hope this means many have been selected. And I would like to say many have been selected, but also other communities are participating this
correct.
year. So that's why there's a little bit less.
Yeah, we've been pushing that a lot. at
Yes,
the
to
county
get it out
level.
to the county instead of just all Plain Township. And a team here at Plain Township is, there's an elderly veteran in his 70s who can't see very well and would like a larger TV, and we're all gonna chip in for that large TV if anybody's interested.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Let me know before you
Yeah.
do that.
Yep. And that's the end of communications.
Okay. That takes us to the portion of the meeting of public speaks. If there's anybody in the audience that wishes to address the board, please give your name and address to our fiscal officer, and then you can stay where you are, you can come up to the podium, whatever you're comfortable with. Brooke?
Hello, my name is Brooke Harless. I live at 7408 Ivydale Avenue Northwest. I just want to address the board and say I am very excited to work with you and to get to know each department head. I am a hands-on learner, so I will hopefully be able to shadow everyone and some of your employees. Mr. Lino, I want to say I have big shoes to fill, and I know this. And I hope I can speak with you for any advice, questions. I look up to you so much. I have the utmost respect for you. As I spoke with Mr. Hawes last week, one of my niches is the Parks Department, and I am big about that, and I cannot wait to take my children to the Alino Park. Hopefully, I don't get another black eye from the 4-year-old there, because Mary kicked me last week for tickling him. And as I have told before, that half of the salary for the trustee salary, I wanted to give back to the Parks Department. I would like to actually use that portion to be able to buy the sign for your name. That's all I have to say.
Anyone else wish to address the board? Okay, seeing none, that takes us to concerns of trustees. Trustee Hawes.
Couple of exciting things, Stark County Township Association wise, and should you be available, this may be a good topic to come to. November 21st, 6:30 p.m. over at Arrowhead Golf Course. Ray Hexmer and the Stark Development Board are hosting us. It's going to be an update on essentially I don't want to call it the brain drain, but it's the whole Stark Community Foundation report on where we're at.
Last year too.
Yeah, where we're at, making progress.
And this is a little different because they've done a lot of work, and Tom and I
Yeah.
sat in on a meeting. It's very good, and I've asked whatever department heads that can attend to attend, but you're gonna see some results in what they've done.
I promise it'll be a good meal over there too, but also we'll probably be touching just on a little bit of business stuff. We've got elections in December, our holiday party, and probably some little legislative updates, but it really is, it's probably been one of the most productive topics last year, sought out, headed into this year, so.
I actually have an article for our next newsletter about, and they'll show you about the job search that people can do through what they've come up with. It's pretty slick.
Anything else?
No, that was the only thing.
Okay. Next, approval of, I will move for the approval of the minutes for the October 22nd meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.
Okay, we do have a need for an executive session. Do you hereby?
No, we do not.
Oh,
No,
we don't?
Mm-mm.
Well, forget what I just said. So I would make a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Sabo?
Yes.
Mr. Hawes?
Yes.